Hello there, very good evening and welcome to your primetime news bulletin. I'm Shane Silva.
And I'm Dasnia Thava. Let's start off with a look at tonight's headlines.
UPFA cabinet ministers must not resign. A statement from the joint opposition. UNP reforms process criticised from within the party. CID informs court it is unaware of the origins of weapons found on board the avant-garde floating armoury. Anusha Koditwaku seeks to cement hold on a silver medal as she rewrites Sri Lanka's boxing history.
A crucial meeting of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party's Central Committee is being held under the auspices of party chairman President Maithripala Sirisena at the President's official residence in Colombo. State Minister Lakshmanya Pabewardena said at the meeting a request will be made for the SLFP MPs who voted in favour of the no-confidence motion against the Prime Minister to leave the government.
16 SLFP members who are in the ruling party voted in favour of the no-confidence motion, which was taken up in Parliament.
While Minister Kabir Hashim has hinted at the UNP forming a government alone, the party's own internal reforms process has been subject to criticism.
Following a full day of talks involving the UNP Working Committee and Parliamentary Group on Saturday, a decision was taken to appoint a 12-member political committee empowered to make political decisions for the party. It was stated later that this committee would nominate individuals to fill vacant positions in the party before the 30th of this month. While the position of General Secretary of the party is currently vacant, UNP Chairman Minister Malik Samaravikrama has also expressed his willingness to resign.
There are some, in fact many, who think they can retain their positions for eternity. While some parties may talk big, positions are handed out like it is a family company. I am only with the UNP. It must function correctly, and when they said change was needed, I resigned from the position of General Secretary. Several office bearers have offered to resign. We created the space for anyone to take up these positions. This is democracy. All office bearers can resign as per their wish. There will be changes in the future.
They say you will be made chairman of the party.
There's no such thing. These are stories told by astrologers.
What about the reforms?
It will happen before the end of the month. The party supporters have demanded that we make some reforms within the party. We are communicating the supporters' demands to the party. A decision must be taken by the party. If they fail to listen to the party supporters on what needs to be done, then I think there will be questions on the continuity of the party and the leadership. This is my opinion too. I think a majority of MPs expected broad reforms in the party, but this has not happened. As MPs, we are waiting to see if these total reforms will be introduced by the 30th of April and that the hopes and aspirations of the party supporter will be fulfilled.
Legal experts say that the Attorney General can initiate legal action on the bond scam on the basis of the findings of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry. Here is a recap of events that have transpired since the report was presented.
30th December 2017. Report of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry on bond issuances presented to the President. Commission of Inquiry recommends that steps be taken to recover defrauded funds and punish the perpetrators. 23rd January 2018. Commission of Inquiry report is tabled in Parliament. 6th February 2018. Debate on the Bond Commission report in Parliament. 20th and 21st February allocated as additional days for the debate. 20th February 2018. Protest from TNA MP M.A. Sumandiran noting that a debate cannot be held without the Tamil translation of the report. Debate postponed until translation is completed. 21st March 2018. A no-confidence motion against the Prime Minister. 11 of the 14 allegations in the motion deal with the alleged bond scam. 4th April 2018. Prime Minister is victorious against no-confidence motion. TNA extends support to the Prime Minister. 4th February 2018. Owner and CEO of Perpetual Treasuries are both arrested after CID makes submissions to court based on a complaint by the Governor of the Central Bank. 29th March 2018. Warrant issued for the arrest of the former Governor of the Central Bank. A red notice is sought. However, 3 months have lapsed since the Commission of Inquiry presented its report. Why is the law not being enforced considering the findings in the report?
There's no purpose whatsoever except a desire to waste time. The government prolonging the matter by dangling it before Parliament. Parliament has debated it. Parliament will again vote for it. And that will be is it going to be the end of the matter? I think government is on a sure course to lose their next election if they don't take quick action to remedy the situation by bringing the money that was lost to the country back into its fold and see that no loss is caused to the country and the wrongdoers are duly punished.
The Criminal Investigations Department submitted to the Galle Chief Magistrates Court today that they are unaware of the origins of the firearms that were discovered on board the Avantgarde floating armory. The CID added that the weapons on board were unlicensed.
The investigating officer representing the CID in court today also submitted to court that a report by the government analyst has revealed that the serial numbers of 204 firearms found on board the floating armory had been changed. He added that the investigation is ongoing and that a case must be filed in the High Court. Noting that all facts must be determined in court, the magistrate ordered that the relevant documentation to the case be kept separately. Retired Sri Lanka Army Colonel Agbert Wijetunga Tilakaratne, the official who was in charge of the floating armory, was remanded until the 23rd of this month after being produced in court today. The magistrate noted that given the charges levelled against the suspect, bail could only be granted by the High Court. The captain of the Avantgarde floating armory, who spent more than a year in remand custody following his arrest, has been enlarged on bail following an application to the High Court. We saw in the recent past that there was a major public opposition against the former Justice Minister with regard to his actions on the Avantgarde case. The government analyst proved conclusively that the serial numbers had been erased on about 200 firearms found on board the floating armory. But Vijayadasa Rajapaksa sought to dilute this case, belittling the severity of the matter and acted in a way that was beneficial to the chairman of the Avantgarde company. Ranil Wickremesinghe has been killing time. And now we hear through the news and other sources that plans are afoot to reappoint this person to the cabinet of ministers and reappoint him as the justice minister. This is a serious problem. It is a crime to let him through the back door. These ministers and politicians were kicked out through the front door.
Six suspects were alleged to have defrauded a sum of more than 40 million rupees using falsified deeds to sell lands in the Kelaniya area have been arrested in possession of forged deeds and national identity cards. Police media spokesperson Superintendent of Police Ruwan Gunasekara made this revelation during a media briefing held in Paliagoda today.
The chief suspect, Mututantri Bastiange Lasit Brian Nishanta Fernando, would pursue the classy field of plots of land for sale. He would go to the land and examine it, and would also examine the deeds at the land registry office and would change the names of the current owners on the registry in a very cunning manner. The deed contains the true information of the real owner of the land. Then they find someone who is close to the age of the real owner. Next, he prepares a false deed. The false deed is prepared to reflect the NIC. After finding a broker or a buyer, they take them to the site of the land for sale. They show the land to them and also give them a copy of the forged deed. The buyer would then take the copy of the deed to a notary public, but when the notary cross-checks it with the land registry, they cannot identify the forgery either because the names and deed numbers have also been changed on the registry.
SP Ruwan Gunasekara also commented on the recent attack on the head office of the MTV-MBC media network.
A special investigation is underway into this incident. The Sirasa Media Institution is located within the Slave Island Police Division. Investigations into the incident have been entrusted to the Colombo Crimes Division. The investigation is continuing under the direct supervision of the Director of the CCD. Statements are being recorded at present. Statements also need to be recorded from employees of Sirasa regarding any obstruction caused to them. After recording these statements, we will definitely take necessary legal action.
Venerable Ulapane Sumangalathera, convener of the Anti-Corruption Front, also commented on the unruly behavior witnessed in front of the head office of the MTV-MBC network.
We must express our protest against such thug-like behavior in front of media organizations. Media freedom means that they have the right to express their views to the country and to the people. If there are some people who cannot bear this and are angered by it, who act like terrorists in front of these media organizations, then the law must be enforced immediately. What is disappointing today is that the group which came into power on a public mandate that was against such acts are now unable to bear it when something is said against them. They have as yet failed to enforce the law against the suspects, including the municipal councillor who acted this way. We heard Sarath Fonseca say that it is normal for happiness to be celebrated in this way. We are truly disappointed by this because following the 2010 presidential election, it was the people of this country and the Citizen Network that stood by him when he was dragged out and forced to wear a prison jumper. It was because of this that he received a presidential pardon. It was because of the public pressure brought to bear by this media institution. If people then thought that this would be a normal way to celebrate victory, then today Sarath Fonseca would still be in prison and not a minister. We think it is inappropriate for political ethics to speak while forgetting your roots.
A demonstration was staged in the Vaunia town today condemning the recent incident opposite the head office of the MTV-MBC media network. The demonstration was organized by relatives of missing persons in Vaunia. The demonstrators called for legal action to be taken against those behind the incident opposite the Newsfirst head office.
We are protesting the intimidation posed at Newsfirst. We will always stand with this media network.
It is media institutions which work for the lives of the people who face such threats. Those responsible should be arrested and imprisoned.
Welcome back to the news. As mentioned at the start of our bulletin, a crucial meeting of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party's Central Committee is being held under the auspices of party chairman President Maithripala Sirisena at the President's official residence in Colombo. State Minister Lakshman Yapa Abewardena said at the meeting a request will be made for the SLFP MPs who voted in favour of the no-confidence motion against the Prime Minister to leave the government.
16 SLFP members who are in the ruling party voted in favour of the no-confidence motion, which was taken up in Parliament on the 4th of April. 23 UPFA MPs, including the General Secretaries of the UPFA and SLFP, did not attend the vote.
None of those who raised their hand for this betrayal can remain in the cabinet. If I am acting against my Prime Minister, I will place my vote after stepping down from my position. No minister has a moral right to be against the President or the Prime Minister. If so, we have to switch to the other side just as we came in. I do not have the moral right to remain in cabinet if I am not supporting the government as a minister. If I had abstained, I would resign immediately rather than waiting until I am told to do so by the President or the Prime Minister. That should be the policy. They voted in favour of a no-confidence motion brought in by themselves. We are expecting a solution to this from our leader. So it would be best if they step down from their posts without any regard for their positions.
It was reiterated today that the 16 SLFP MPs who voted in favour of the motion are ready to let go of their positions in the government.
Let's move together as the Sri Lanka Freedom Party without splitting. It is difficult to work with this unity government. So let's take a decision as a party and work towards our own goals, our identity, while strengthening the President. The 16 of us are not forming a separate gang. We used our vote based on a policy. Our position right now is to defect from the government and join the opposition. 23 of us, which is a majority of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, took a decision together to keep a strong backbone and protect the government and the President. The fact the number 23 is greater than 16 goes without saying. This is not the time for the SLFP to split. It was Mahinda Rajapaksa who split the party at the previous election to create the flower bud. I was always of the opinion that if we are using our vote, we have to step down from our ministerial positions. I made this proposal on the 2nd as well. I told them I was ready to step down, but the people of this country should know if that had happened, this country would be run by an entirely united National Party government.
Meanwhile, the United National Party says they could form a single party government if they want to.
The United National Party is strong enough to take this government forward on its own, but we have made a commitment not to do that. We are bound to make a real change for this country. The joint opposition should think about breaking up the powers of the Prime Minister and forming a caretaker government. We should get ready for the next elections under this government if we are to reap the complete advantage of the public mandate. We are ready to accept them with open arms, but they shouldn't do it. They should remain in the ruling party and carry the internal struggle against Ranil forward. I am with the President on this. Don't leave, stay.
The University's Joint Trade Unions Alliance says that a circular containing matters agreed upon during talks with the Higher Education Minister is to be issued today. Co-president of the union, Edward Malwathige, said the unions would call off their strike action as soon as the circular is issued.
Talks were held between officials of the Ministry of Higher Education and the striking workers on the 2nd of this month. Co-president of the University's Joint Trade Unions Alliance says several agreements were reached during these talks.
We have held talks regarding the demands made by non-academic staff at universities. Officially, we have agreed on a solution to a certain extent. I believe that we will be able to resolve the problem today.
Today marks 40 days since the non-academic staff commenced their strike. Today, sources have informed us that a solution will be given to this problem tomorrow, 41 days after the strike commenced. If this does not happen, we are preparing to hold demonstrations outside all universities tomorrow. Going beyond that, we have also planned a series of demonstrations in Colombo. The 7 trekkers who were reported missing over 3 days in the Knuckles range were found this evening.
The police say that 7 youth had made the climb on the Knuckles range along the Bambaralla-Kalupahana route on the morning of the 7th of this month. The group was made up of 2 youth from Homagama, 2 from Gaul, 2 from K-Gaul and a youth from Attanagalla. Our correspondent noted that they are all aged between 22 and 26 years old. The group had begun their climb from Bambaralla but had become lost the next morning and were unable to retrace the route. While they had informed their families due to communication difficulties, their families were unable to contact them again. A police search and rescue operation commenced after the families called the 119 emergency hotline. A 6-hour-long search operation failed to yield any hints on the whereabouts of the missing hikers. The police were later informed that 4 of the youth had descended the Knuckles range and were at the Bambaralla entrance. The other 3 had already left for their homes. Our correspondents noted that the youth were taken to the Panvila police station in order to record statements from them.
Minister of Housing and Construction Sajid Premadasa says plans are underway to construct 25 Janaviru villages without charging a fee for the land. The minister expressed these views while attending an event to hand over a house to Sergeant J.D.P. Ravindra, who lost his sight completely during the war.
Sergeant Ravindra lost his sight on the 5th of May 2009 in Pudukkode in the line of duty. The sergeant was given a house worth 3.5 million rupees at the Sayurupura housing complex in Angulana Moratua.
We decided today to start constructing welfare villages dedicated to the soldiers of Sri Lanka in all 25 districts of the country. There were many problems and challenges in these villages in the recent past. We are hoping to construct flawless and perfect 25 Ranaviru villages throughout the country. I would like to say that we will not charge a red cent for the properties of these 25 villages from the soldiers.
The foundation stone for a drinking water project was laid at the Kamrupitia Base Hospital today under the Newsfirst Government, the 1000 Projects initiative. The project is being sponsored financially by Eslon Lanka Private Limited.
It's all me.
The government, the Secretariat, received reports that the staff and patients at the Kamrupitia Base Hospital were facing a severe crisis due to the lack of water. The government, the Secretariat, responded positively by beginning work this morning on providing the staff and patients of the hospital with a tube well. Eslon Lanka Private Limited is sponsoring the project with a sum of 1.1 million rupees.
Matra district ke Maharohala I'm happy to say the Kamurupete-based hospital is the second largest hospital in the Mathura district after Mathura General Hospital. There are 262 beds in this hospital and over 30,000 people receive in-house treatment a year. But we face a severe water crisis when there is no rain. So what Sirsa Government has done today, together with Eslon for a hospital that treats over 200,000 patients a year, is not only a service for the hospital, but a service for the entire community.
I think as long as the people are with us, Sirsa will never turn back. Water is our need. Eslon stands by the theme Water is Life. Though a person has food, it is difficult for one to live without water. It is our primary objective to provide as much water to areas that do not have it.
No one has to be taught the lesson of saving water. We are all very much aware of how to use water sparingly. There is a lot of money being spent on these projects we do. Since Eslon is handling that responsibility, that is one less headache. But it is the responsibility of the entire staff here to protect and safeguard this facility.
In a project sponsored by the Indian government, bicycles, sewing machines and agricultural equipment were distributed to low-income families at the Nonagama Cultural Centre in Ambalanthota today.
The event was attended by Minister of Fisheries Mahinda Amaravira and Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Taranjit Singh Sandhu.
Under this project, 7,000 of you are getting bicycles with special retrofitted stands to carry your fish. 1,000 of you are being given sewing machines along with the requisite training in sewing. I truly hope that these implements will enhance your livelihood. Today's project is a special one. The philosophy is based on the age-old saying, give a man a fish, he will eat it for a day. Teach a man to fish, he will eat it for life. India has always believed in true capacity building of its friends and partner countries. We provide assistance based on your needs so that tomorrow you are able to craft a future for yourself by yourself.
News First uncovered details of an illegal street racing ring. Here are some of the visuals of the incident.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. For the News First team, I'm Dasnia Thalda.
And I'm Shane Silva.
Is the Parliament representing the people or are they representing their own interests?
Stay tuned to TV1 to find out the answers.
After the news is Face the Nation, asking the questions you want answered. Good night.